I was this close to not filming an episode this week and just leaving you hanging, like deixar vocês na mão. I was almost leaving you hanging this week, but I remember that yesterday I got a message on my DMs, on Wave's Instagram DMs, of a girl that I don't know. I don't know who she is. I don't know her in person. And she actually took some time of her day to come to our DMs and say that she loves the podcast and that she listens to it every day. And I was so amazed by this message because it's so rare that someone actually comes and talk and like says something nice and gives feedback. Feedback's so important, and that feedback was really important for me because it's someone that I don't know. And she said that she's already fluent and she loves listening to Brazilians speaking English. And I was so happy about this. I think this has happened like 3 times since I've started the podcast, of someone that I don't know in person, someone that found out about the podcast randomly on Spotify and came and texted me. And it's so important for me, I swear. It made me excited to sit down here and film an episode, even though I'm not feeling my best today. And exactly because, oh, so by the way, thank you so much for the girl who sent us this DM. And it's really nice for me to know that there are people who listen to the podcast every day, every week, and that this podcast is useful for you and that it actually helps people with their fluency. It means so much to me. And I guess that's the reason I'm sitting down here today to film, even though I'm not having a terrible day. I'm just really emotional these days because of something that happened. But yeah, here I am. Welcome to the episode. I actually, exactly because I wasn't feeling that good, I didn't have any ideas for the podcast today. All the ideas that I have written down didn't seem good for me, or I'm just not inspired to film them, and I didn't want to waste a good idea. So I decided to pick up some conversation questions that I got on Substack. It's an app that I love and that I've been recommending lately. It's the app that I post our newsletter. And I found an article with some questions to ask someone to spark conversation. So I think I'm gonna answer some of these questions, talk a little about myself. I think last year I posted an episode called Fun Facts About Myself. Oh, it was Fun Facts or Not So Fun About Myself. And it was me, I think, it's talking about 10 fun facts about myself. And I really liked to film that episode. It was some personal stuff that I talked about. And I remember some people coming to me and said that it was a nice episode. So maybe this is part two. Maybe this is part two of fun facts about myself. But I'm going to use these conversation questions to talk a little about myself. And like, if you don't think it's interesting to hear about me, at least you're gonna practice your English, okay? So stay with me, because I'm guessing this episode will be a little shorter. And yeah, welcome to the episodes desse podcast que a gente usa para alimentar a sua fluência, alimentar o seu inglês, que é algo que a gente faz todos os dias. A gente tem que ter intimidade, contato com o inglês. É por isso que a Wave tem podcast, tem newsletter. Tem conteúdo em inglês no Instagram, no TikTok, e agora a gente tem a nossa comunidade. Todos os alunos da Wave vão poder praticar inglês uns com os outros na nossa comunidade, com desafios, com tarefas e com um grupo aberto para falar 100% inglês. Esse episódio está saindo dia 27 de maio. No 1º de junho a gente vai começar com a nossa comunidade. Estou muito, muito animada. Ela se chama The Cast. Claro que tinha que ser uma referência a filmes e séries e, enfim, cultura pop no geral. Tô muito animada e se você tem vontade de participar de uma comunidade assim, se você quer praticar mais o seu inglês, acompanhe a gente, principalmente no Instagram, para você saber tudo que a gente tem. Porque hoje a comunidade está fechada para os alunos, mas muito em breve a gente tem projetos de expandir isso para pessoas que querem treinar o inglês, mesmo não estudando na Wave. E, claro, além disso, o podcast e a newsletter estão sempre aí, toda quarta e sexta, às 6 da manhã. Mas para saber as notificações e tudo, se você seguir o nosso Instagram, eu sempre aviso lá de episódio novo e newsletter nova, ok? É isso. E se você for uma dessas pessoas que não estuda na Wave, não me conhece e apenas escuta o podcast para manter o seu inglês em dia, por favor, venha falar nos comentários no Instagram. É muito legal para mim saber disso. Só de saber que esse podcast está sendo útil. Enfim, me mantém animada para continuar fazendo ele. But anyway. Let's start. Okay, so I have a few questions here and I'm gonna choose some of them and just answer them about myself. Okay, for example, first question is, what is a topic you could talk about for hours? And if you know me, you know I'm gonna talk about books. You probably thought it was gonna be about TV shows, but no. I think books are my favorite topic to talk about. But it's such a nerdy thing. Like when I look around me, I don't have a lot of people who read books that much. Not because I'm better than anyone. I'm not. Just because people don't usually have the habit of reading, right? I do not know a lot of people who love reading, who have reading as a permanent hobby in their lives. I was really lucky to find a group of friends who actually do, and we have a book club together here in person. That's amazing. And of course, I know a lot of people who love reading, but I have reading as such an intrinsic part of myself that pretty much my all the content that I watch on YouTube, besides the content that I've talked about here on the podcast before, like commentary videos, reaction videos in English, besides that, I pretty much just consume content about books. And books are a huge part of my life. They've always been. And I just think that if I could sit down with someone who would be open to have a conversation solely and only about books, I could talk about that for hours because I have so many books that I've already read, so many books that I want to read. I'm very interested in authors and writing styles and um I just, I always try to be up to date, like atualizada, up to date with popular art authors and like what people are talking about, how the industry is going, books that are being released. And I don't think I am that much of an up to date person, but I always try to know what's going on. And I just love talking about it. I love talking about the books that I love. I think I am finding ways to talk more and more about this because now I have friends that are finding out about how good it is to read books and I love that. But yeah, like if I could, I would record so many episodes about books. I swear. But then I always think to myself like, oh, okay, I think this week I'm going to talk about books on the podcast. And then I think like, I don't think people are interested in that. And then I give up. So it's a topic that I could talk about for hours, but I feel like it sounds so nerdy sometimes, and I feel like it's not something that people are so curious about hearing about like knowing. So yeah, I think books are a topic that I could talk about for hours, especially when it comes to my favorite authors. Okay, question number two. Question number two is it's a hard one. The question is, would you be friends with yourself? And if I wasn't myself, would I want to be friends with me, with Nicole? And uh, look, I am a person that I switch a lot between thinking I am a great friend and an interesting person, right? Like I usually think of that about myself. But at the same time, sometimes I think I'm a terrible friend. I I vary a lot. I switch a lot between these two perspectives. I think I'm a terrible friend because no. Okay. Maybe my therapist wouldn't like to hear that because she argues with me and she says that I seem to be a very present friend, a very good friend, but I don't think I am. Let me explain why. I am just terrible with keeping up conversations and keeping up to date. This expression is coming up a lot this episode. I am a terrible person in keeping up to date with my friends' lives, you know? And I have a problem that I hate WhatsApp. I hate texting. I I have a big problem with texting, and at the same time, I love posting on Instagram. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure, but here's what I'm trying to say. I am a good friend when it comes to in-person interactions, so I will be present in your life if we can hang out and see each other often or at least occasionally. And I always try my best to invite my friends to my house and keep my friends close personally, like in person. But I am so terrible at keeping conversations on WhatsApp and answering people. And I feel like that sometimes keeps me away from my friends' lives. And I don't know if that makes me a bad friend, but I think I've lost that teenager thing of talking to your friends 24 hours a day, you know? And sometimes I feel like I am absent, like not present in my friends' lives because of that. But I try to compensate that being very sociable with my friends. I don't feel like I'm a sociable person outside my circle, but I always try to keep in touch with my friends to go to their houses, invite them to my house, and going out and hanging out. Like I always put some effort into this because I love my friends. I need my friends to stay alive and well. And I think I am present in that way, but not in others. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And aside from that, like, além disso, fora disso, I think I'm a pretty good friend when it comes to listening, when it comes to giving advice. I would probably be friends with myself because I love honest friends that can say what they think and can have confrontation and like speaking their minds. So I would probably like having myself as a friend, but I think I would be a distant friend because I don't know, I feel like that sometimes. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm sorry. I swear my mind is really foggy right now. But I hope at least it's being useful for you to practice your English, okay? I really hope so. Next question. Next question. I think I rambled a little too much on the last one. Next question. What is your idea of a perfect weekend? I like this one. It's simple. It's not that deep. And let me describe to you a perfect weekend. I'm not gonna describe a crazy weekend like, oh, traveling. No, no, no. A perfect weekend in my regular routine. Okay. So my perfect weekend starts on Friday evening, and it's one of those Fridays that I have nothing to do. I've finished my work by 5 p.m., 4 p.m. on a dream weekend, and I can spend my Friday evening like this at the end of the afternoon, taking a walk or riding my bike, listening to music or listening to a podcast, and then coming home, eating a nice snack, and choosing a movie to watch because I don't know why Friday nights and movies are something very comforting for me. Even though I can't do it that often, I'm really sorry about this and I wish I could do it more. But I would watch a movie and have some nice dinner, probably takeout, not takeout, but maybe delivery. And I would watch a movie with my fiance because I just love when we have a Friday night that we don't have anything to do and that he comes early from work. So a dream Friday night, right? And then I go to bed. And on Saturday, I wake up around 8 a.m. maybe because I like waking up early. And then Saturday breakfasts are my favorite. Like I usually keep myself on a diet, right? I have to, okay, because of my health. And Saturday mornings are the mornings that I allow myself to have the breakfast that I want to. So I will eat more than usual. I will eat a specific bread that I like to eat. And I don't know, I just try to make a more yummy breakfast. And after that, I would ride a bike in the morning in the sun. Yes, because I love riding a bike in the sun because my city is very windy, so it's not uncomfortable. And I just love riding a bike in the morning. And then I would come back and read for a while and then have my lunch. And after lunch, I would get a tan, like sunbathe, like go to my backyard, lie on the grass and sunbathe. Like tomar banho de sol, tomar sol, tomar sol. Sunbathe. I would sunbathe for like 40 minutes, listening to some music. And after that, I would take a shower and go to the gym because, again, I'm talking about a routine weekend, okay? And I love going to the gym with my fiance because it's one of the things we like doing together. But after the gym, we would have some dessert like ice cream or acai, my favorites. And then we would go back and I don't know, maybe go out, maybe, oh, invite my friends over. I think I've mentioned this 2 minutes ago. I love having my friends over, seriously. And now that I have my own house, and I talked about this the last episode, I just love having my friends over and cooking something for them. And by cooking, I mean my fiance cooking something for them. And us having drinks and beers and playing a game. I just love playing games with my friends. Maybe grilling some burgers, and just staying up late at night, just listening to music and talking. I love that. I love that. I wish we could do it more often, but it's something that I always try to do. And then Sunday needs to be a lazy day, right? So Sunday, I would probably wake up a little later and have my breakfast, not go to the gym because I'm not a fan of the gym on a Sunday. I usually go, but I not my favorite activity to do. And then I would probably spend the whole Sunday watching movies or watching a TV show with my fiance and again eating ice cream or a dessert or acai. Like it's such a comforting activity for me eating ice cream, especially because I have type 1 diabetes, right? Like I can't be eating sugar anytime I want to. So having this on a weekend, it's so good for me. Acai is one of my teenage memories of the beginning of my relationship with my fiance, and it's such a comforting activity for me too. And I think I would just spend the whole Sunday watching things, reading a book, lying in my hammock. Do you remember hammock? If you watched the last episode, you remember what hammock is. It's rede, a rede que você pendura no seu quintal. I would probably be lying in my hammock, reading something, just chilling, just chilling. That would be my perfect weekend in the middle of my routine. If you ask me my perfect weekend, really, it would probably be traveling, going to, I don't know, going to the beach. My dream is to live near the beach again. So I'm just being a little more realistic here, okay? But yeah, I think that's it. Let me choose another question now. Okay, the last question I'm choosing is, what skill changed your trajectory the most? When we talk about skills, we're talking about abilities, right? So, a skill that has changed my trajectory the most, for sure, is communication and speaking well. Speaking well in public, speaking well in general. I feel like this is pretty obvious that it's something that I like. I have a lot to improve at this, but this is something that has always come natural for me. And I will never forget the first time that a teacher told me that I should be a teacher. And I know that, oh, being a teacher is not, it's not a dream that you, I mean, for teachers, yes, but for people who are not teachers, dreaming of being a teacher sounds like a bad dream, right? I know. But the first time that a teacher told me that, I didn't think about like, oh, but maybe I don't want to become a teacher. I just thought about, wait, why does she think that I should be a teacher? And then this got me thinking about my abilities as a whole because this was a point that I was about to start high school. No, I was in the beginning of high school. And at the beginning of high school, this is a period where you start thinking about your career choices, right? And what you're going to do with your life and everything. And then she made a comment like that. And I was like, wait, maybe I should be a teacher. Maybe I should not be a teacher, but work with communication, right? And I chose the, I don't know if it's the right degree for this, but I chose to study law, to go to law school, like estudar direito, fazer direito. And Nicole, what does this have to do with anything? Because she said that you would be a good teacher and then you decided to go to law school. It doesn't make sense. I know, but here's the thing. When she commented that I should be a teacher, I thought about my abilities, right, as a person. And I was 14 years old. And I already knew that I could speak publicly so well. I've had this ability since I was like, since I was 10 years old. I remember, no. I remember being 7 years old, I guess. And I remember, no, seven? Oh, no, I'm crazy. I remember being 11 years old. And my school had a play, like a peça teatral, in the city. And I remember that at the end of the play, it was a play about saving water, about like, you know, saving water in the world and blah, 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 and wasting water. And they needed someone to give a speech at the end, like give a speech. It's like dar discurso. And I didn't want to be one of the characters. I didn't want to act. I didn't want to be funny. I didn't want to be a character on the play. But when they mentioned that they needed someone to speak at the end of the play, I immediately volunteered and everybody agreed I should be this person. And I remember being 11 years old in front of a stage talking to a lot of people, uh like reflecting on the problems with saving water and wasting water and water pollution, blah, blah, blah. And I remember that at that night, everybody came to me and said, like, Nicole, you speak so well. And then I connected this to my high school teacher who told me that I should be a teacher, right? And I said, okay, maybe I want to go to law school because I feel like I'm very good at public speaking. And not only that, at like giving good arguments and debating and just, I just feel comfortable. I've always felt comfortable sharing my opinions and showing my opinions, and I've always been comfortable with confrontation and speaking about difficult topics. And law school seemed like the perfect degree for me. I still think it is, even though I'm not working in this career. But this ability of speaking, like having this ability to speak in public, to argument, to discuss and confront, I think it's always been something that changed my life. And then like I had many moments that I can remember when this ability changed the trajectory of my life a little bit, like this play when I was 11, and then the teacher saying that, and then me always being the spokesperson for everything I did in life. Like I was the person who gave the speech at my graduation in college, like this is an ability that has followed me my whole life. I thought I was gonna do something in law with disability. And maybe I will, who knows? I'm only 27. But even changing my career, I immediately changed for something that this skill would be useful. I immediately chose something that my speaking skills would be so useful at. And I always talk about how I love doing this podcast and how it's such a fun activity for me, but mostly it's because I get to talk. And it's something that I like. And ever since I started with Wave and posting content and starting with the podcast, a lot of people have come to me and said like, "Oh, it's so nice to see how comfortable you are with the cameras and with the microphone and speaking and you are such a good communicator." And This is a compliment that I actually agree and like, yes, I'm not gonna be modest about it. I can speak well in public. I can speak well in a microphone and in front of a camera. And it's true. It's true because it's an ability that I've been practicing since I was 11. So I think it's a skill that changes your life. Like even if you don't choose a career in something that you need this ability, still being able to speak in public, speak to people and communicate your opinions and your feelings and your thoughts, it's an ability that will get you far in life, in your relationships, in your career, like whatever you do. I think it's something that can change the trajectory of your life. And I feel like this podcast is an example of that. My company is an example of that, you know? And I just love speaking. I love communicating. I think I've talked about this before. And listen, I'm not having a great day. I am very emotional these days. I didn't feel like filming this episode today, but here I am because I just love talking, you know? And I always wonder if I'm being a little bit annoying or a little bit rambling, you know, like talking about things with that don't make sense together. And I don't know if I keep my thoughts so well organized in the podcast, but I still love doing it. I love speaking and I feel like sometimes it's a little messy, but it's because I want the podcast to be informal and to be a reflection of what's in my mind, you know? So if that means it's going to be a little messy, it's fine. It's casual. I don't think too much about what I'm posting here on the podcast. And I hope you like that, okay? I hope you enjoy that. If you don't, please let me know. I would love to. But I love having a platform to just speak because this is what I love doing, you know? I just love speaking. Sometimes I speak too much. Most times I speak too much. And I told you this episode was going to be shorter, and I'm sure it's not going to be, but yeah, I feel like this ability has changed my life and I just love speaking and I hope you do too. This was a random episode. I didn't plan it. I'm sorry. I don't like doing things unplanned, but I just want to give you something to practice your English, and I hope this conversation did something for you. I hope you've learned something new. And if you did, please let me know in the comments. And I hope I'll see you in the next one, better prepared and with a better state of mind. Hopefully, hopefully. This is just temporary. Okay, I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.